Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy to be with you. I know we have been on a little pause for the last couple of weeks, and that is honestly because I didn't plan super well for life and all that was going on over the last several weeks. So I am back and excited to be here. I am going to be doing a series over the next couple of weeks about integration times, breakthrough cycles, and what all of that is, defining it. What does it mean for your business? This series is all about the times when things don't go well in your business, but then how we can work through them, how we can use some of the quieter times in our businesses to bolster both ourselves and our businesses over the long term. So today we're going to be talking about low value work cycles. So we've all heard before the messages out on, podcasts and social media and any guru you follow, they talk about consistency and showing up and every day being there. And you hear people say, well, I always did, or I never, was in a slump, or I never let things get me down, or I never missed a day of blah, 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 right? Like, this is all myths, everybody, all myths. I have been in coaching programs with some really successful, like financially successful gurus, people you would know who sit and lament bad times in their businesses in those rooms. So everything you see out online and or here, it's myths. So, and I am all about on staging sips and in general being real about not only the staging business, but being real about business in general. And I will tell you that just like this hiatus I have just taken, there are times in my staging business where I experienced low value cycles, the times when, I felt depleted and I felt like I couldn't give more, or when, I didn't know what to do. I fumbled through my days sitting at my desk feeling like I was getting nothing accomplished because I had no ideas. I didn't know who else to reach out to. I wasn't sure exactly what I should be saying on social media. I didn't understand why things weren't working. I felt like I would go to presentations and give like a kick-ass, amazing presentation, and people seemed to be enjoying it. And then it would be like crickets. And I would send follow-up emails and I'd be ghosted and all of that. I would fear like things were all going to fall apart, right? Or never get off the ground. I had times where the business had robust spring and fall seasons, and then there would be like a desert of business between the summer months and the winter months. And how would I pay my bills? And how would I pay my team? And times when inventory came back in and we could barely move in our storage facilities, and like, how are we ever going to get it out? Because that was money sitting there that needed to be, out working for us. Like, I literally been in all of those places, like as Brooke Castillo calls it, the river of misery. And I have had times where I have sat and thought, oh my gosh, we have like $100 left in the operating account. How, where is the money coming from? And credit card debt. I've been very transparent with my students that in the beginning of my business, I put a lot of money on my credit cards, and I think it was close to $70,000 in credit card debt that I had to dig myself out of. And so when I'm looking at $100 in operating and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay off those credit cards? Like, yeah, stressful. I've been there. So I want to share with you that this is all normal. This is normal. This is running a business. Nothing has gone wrong. However, it doesn't feel good when we're in it. And I want you to like go back to those first 4 episodes of the podcast, because you're going to learn that everything I just described is really like, distinct phases that you're going to go through where things don't work. You feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill all the time. You don't know what to do with your time. You don't know who to reach out to. You don't know how else to say it in a way that people will value the price that you are charging for your services. You run out of ideas, you feel uninspired, you feel overwhelmed, you feel frustrated, if you've got team and, the wheels are falling off the bus and systems aren't working and team doesn't seem to be learning the process or being able to style the way you want them to, like this is all part of it. So if you're finding yourself in any one of those descriptions, I just want to first say, give yourself some grace and give yourself some space. And this is a really good thing to just kind of think about as maybe a mantra, like grace and space might be exactly what you need in times like this. So when you're in this is considered a low value mindset cycle. And the most important thing and the most important work that we can do is understanding that we can get through these low value work cycles, and that the faster we can get ourselves through them, the better off we will be. In the beginning, this is hard. I always think about, working out. Like in the beginning of working out, if you haven't done that in a long time, your body takes a longer time to recover between those workouts. You feel super sore for a long time. And then as you start getting more, your body gets more comfortable with the idea of the discomfort of working out, your body recovers faster. That's how your brain works. So these periods of low value cycles, these periods of feeling like things aren't working, you actually get better at managing them over time. So in the beginning, it can be very, very painful and very uncomfortable, but I'm going to offer you some solutions as we go through. I'm going to give you some mindset solutions, and then I'm going to give you some action solutions. And throughout this series, we'll dial in even deeper on some things that you can do. So the first is, when you find yourself in one of these low value cycles, let's just control what only you can control, because there's so much outside of you that you can't control. You cannot control what somebody's perception of staging is. The value of a stager, the pricing that a stager charges. You cannot control any of that. But what you can control is really just right in front of you. And I had told this story years ago to students that I had, and I think it's really relevant here in these times when you're going to give yourself some grace and some space and control what you can control. And that was several years ago. My husband and I decided to go on a hike, and he's very, very fit. He works out daily for, quite a while. He needs that for his mental health. That for me isn't really a thing. So I am not in as great a shape as he is. However, I'm super stubborn and competitive and don't want to hold him back from activities that we both actually enjoy. I love hiking. He loves hiking. But we had done this hike that got really, really intense at certain points. And when I looked up to see how far we had to go, I literally just wanted to give up. So I decided that I would just look at what was right in front of me, and I'd keep my head down on this trail, digging like these steep hills, and just keep looking at one step in front of the next and never look up until, we got to the top. And I have to tell you, that was the most powerful thing that I did on that hike. And I thought about that in terms of business, is that sometimes we need to take our eyes off of the horizon, off of the mountain and the peak of the mountain, whatever it is. We talk a lot about future thinking and future planning and your future self. Sometimes you just need to dial in on the person and the place that you're in right now and go, okay, what can I control right now? So from a mindset perspective, just acknowledging that right now might feel like a total shit show. Like it might not be what you were hoping it would be. And it might feel hard and uncomfortable and depleting and demotivating. But saying to yourself, okay, I know this is temporary and I know it's fixable. One of the most powerful things that my kids said that I had given them as a lesson was, this is all temporary. This will change. And I truly believe if we can just remember that we're just passing through phases, that tomorrow it could be totally different, or maybe next week or next month. but it's all temporary and it's all fixable, and it doesn't all need to be solved right now. And in fact, one of the best things we can do is just decide that we aren't actually going to be the ones that solve it, that just time and space will solve it. I also want you to know that discomfort is the exact right step to be in for your growth. So when we experience discomfort on the way to what we want, um, that is part of the process, just like that working out. So the more we get comfortable with the idea that things not going the way we want them and things kind of falling apart and things not looking ideal is part of the growth process. Because truthfully, I can't teach you what I teach you if I never experienced the highs and the lows. And there were some very low lows that I had in creating the business that I have today. There was a ton of discomfort. There was a lot of things that I felt like I did that maybe had a risk and no return for the very near, in the very near future, but that paid off really well in the long term because I was able to manage just getting through the discomfort, going through the sleepless nights or the nights that you wake up and you toss and turn because you have, thoughts that it's never going to change. Like I've been through all of that with you, and I couldn't have grown my business without it, honestly, because you learn. Like I am an experimenter. I learn through experiencing things. I learn through trying things and falling flat on my face and failing. Not everybody does. I recognize that. But what we all tend to go through is some discomfort and feeling like we made a decision that maybe wasn't the right decision in the short term, but learning from it. So discomfort is a part of your growth process. And then looking one step ahead is the exact right view for the moment. Like just if we can get in a space of putting our eyes down and just forgetting, like almost putting on hold the vision that you had for your business, just so that you can manage your discomfort or your stress right now, is the exact right thing to do. And I know this probably seems, I don't know if it might feel generic or it might not feel clear advice, but mindset work often isn't. Mindset work gets revealed to you over time. So I just want you to know, like, that's the mindset work you can begin to kind of just uncover, acknowledging that right now feels like a disaster. That's okay. That if you just put your eyes down and let yourself live in the discomfort, that it's temporary, it's fixable, everything is fixable. So that's the first thing. So like, as an example, when you first start working with, like, a couple of examples, let's start from, like, if you're starting out in business and you've gone through and you've been doing your social media and you've been out meeting people and you're not booking clients, just recognize that that's all normal. That's a normal phase of business. And again, go back to the early episodes of this podcast. Episodes 1 through 4 are all about the phases of business. You're going to spend a lot of time in the beginning of your business feeling like none of what you're doing is working, like it's a waste of time, that nobody's hearing you. Like that's normal. Excuse me. That's totally normal. What about when you start hiring team and investing in inventory because your business is growing and your seasons are busier, and then you have what I had, which was like a desert of business in those summer and winter months. Just understanding and looking at that and going, okay, so, all right, so this seems to be a pattern that is likely to happen where I have expansive growth and I need to ramp up inventory and people and team. What can I do to plan for the off season or the quieter seasons? What can I do financially to plan for that better? What can I do in terms of revenue streams that might help that? Those are all things that you can start to just acknowledge, right? Like acknowledge that we have a seasonality to this business. Acknowledge that interest rates and all kinds of things impact our business, and know that they're temporary, but they're fixable and we can plan for them. That's the mindset work. Now, as far as the actions that you can go through when you get to a place where you're in a low value work cycle and you're feeling like nothing is going the way you want to, do a thought download. Just You can write it, you can type it into your computer, whatever works for you. Typically writing there's a better connection to your brain. There's a lot of science behind that. So from a neuroscience perspective, writing stuff down, get all your thoughts out on paper. What's working? What's not working? Where are the gaps? Where are things that you can go through that fix it protocol from exit episode 26, how to change your course when your systems aren't working. If you go through that fix it protocol of like getting your thoughts out and then kind of the fact finding, what's working that I can lean into, what's not working that I need to do some fact finding on. Maybe I need to create an issues list. What are some things from that issues list that I can address immediately? Then what do I do to implement a plan to fix the things that are longer term, that need a longer term fix, right? So start there. That's a really good action step, because sometimes there's a lot of sneaky thoughts and things that we didn't even realize underlying everything. So get it out on paper. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to take time, and I know people will say, don't go into consumption mode. Sometimes consumption mode is the best thing you can do, the best action step. So read. Sometimes when we read business books, like I go back to E-Myth Revisited, Atomic Habits is one of my favorites to read, like what's the neuroscience behind all of that. A new favorite that one of my students gave to me, so thank you, shout out to Angelique Ferguson, The Gap and the Gain, amazing book to help you just sit and look at what you've accomplished and what are the gaps, but look, what are the gains that you have made. You can listen. You can listen to podcasts. Obviously, Staging Sips, we have plenty of episodes that are super valuable to just help get you inspired. But RISA, the Real Estate Staging Association, has Stager Talk. There's the Stagers on Fire podcast. There's the Home Staging Show podcast. That's Marianne Cherico and Cindy Lynn, respectively. The Design You podcast by Toby Fairley. The Life Coach School podcast with Brooke Castillo has been amazing for me in terms of the mindset work. Online Marketing Made Easy by Amy Porterfield. You can listen to Make Money as a Life Coach, even though we're not life coaches. Stacey Bayman offers a lot of great mindset work on Make Money as a Life Coach. So there are lots of things that you can do to begin to re-energize yourself. You can also look to joining a coaching program or take a course or something like that. And yes, can there end up being a graveyard of ideas that come from all of those things? Yes. Things that you never implement? Absolutely. Things that you don't follow through on? Yes, undoubtedly. However, to get you through and inspire you and remotivate you and help you work through getting through a low value work cycle, those are some of the very best things you can do. And of course, when you do that, that will motivate you to get out there, and whether you need to market your services so that you can get more clients, or give you ideas for how to put systems into place around your business and so that you can scale and grow and meet the demand that is you're starting to generate in your business. Then if you take one idea from any one of those things that you do in terms of thought downloads, listening, reading, that is invaluable to your business over the lifetime of your business. So anyway, I know this was more a little mindset-y and all of that, but sometimes we just need that. So anyway, get out there, have a wicked good week. I will see you next week on the podcast. Bye for now.